Yes, guys, welcome back to more GBFC, the final weekend of the Premier League season. And what a crazy season it has been. Liverpool are the champions of England. They ran away with the Premier League title. For me, it was a foregone conclusion since way back in January time. The relegation scrap wasn't even a scrap. They all went down feebly. Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton promoted and sent straight back to where they came from. This season, the story has been Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur battling it out to see who can be the best of the worst, or the worst of the rest, I think is the best way to say it. Tottenham, European champions, 17th in the Premier League. Manchester United, 16th in the Premier League. It's absolutely bonkers. I feel as though this is one of those Premier League seasons which kind of makes me stop and be like, I'm 30 years old, and I feel like what I know about football and what I expect from certain clubs, those narratives are now over. There is the era where Man United were good. Now they're rubbish. Do I get scared to play them? Probably will for a few more years. But football is changing. And I think we've got to talk first of all, before we preview the matches this weekend. Liverpool have won the league, 12 points ahead of Arsenal, going into the final day. They've got Crystal Palace. That is going to be a battle of who drunk the most. And whoever didn't drink the most probably going to win that game, to be quite honest. They're both celebrating. Palace win their first ever trophy. Liverpool win the Premier League. They've been in Ibiza. It's been ridiculous. They won it weeks ago. Arsenal, they go to Southampton. They're pretty much guaranteed to finish second. Man City go to Fulham on the final day of the season. That's not an easy match. Newcastle host Everton, who I think Everton, if we look down there, Everton literally have finished 13th. It doesn't matter what the result is in that game. And Chelsea obviously go to Forest. Aston Villa go to Man United. What Man United is going to show up here, to be quite honest, because Aston Villa know that a win could get them Champions League football unless Chelsea, Newcastle and Man City all win. Because if they do, Aston Villa winning doesn't really matter. But for Man United, right? Like, if you're a United fan, obviously we've made a few videos this week. We previewed the Europa League final, made the video about Spurs winning it. But, like, does this match mean anything to Manchester United? Because technically speaking, right, it kind of does, because you surely don't want to finish 17th. And surely there's got to be a little bit of, even though they have been so bad, or in the words of Garnacho, shit, I believe he said, Manchester United surely have got to look at this and be like, we've got to do something here at Old Trafford. Or is it more, what can they actually do because they're that bad? I think it genuinely is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little look at the Matchweek 38 fixtures. Bournemouth versus Leicester. Goodbye, Leicester. They also might potentially have broken some PSR rules. So big problems potentially for Leicester City. Jamie Vardy probably in his last ever game for the club. Although maybe he just bows out on 200 goals and 500 appearances. Don't really think he'd be that bothered, to be honest. I think Bournemouth will win this relatively comfortably. Let's go through all of the games, first of all, that are not the Champions League ones. So, Wolves versus Brentford. Wolves have had a pretty good second half of the season, but they've lost their last three. And Brentford, if Tottenham can beat Brighton, Brentford will go ahead of Brighton if they win at the Molineux. So I think Brentford are actually going to go to Wolves and win. Their away form recently has been very good. Southampton, Arsenal, that's probably a foregone conclusion. It's either going to be 0-0 or Arsenal are going to thump them. Liverpool, Crystal Palace, as I said, these two teams right now are in absolute dreamland. I want to talk about Liverpool for a second because we made a video earlier this week saying they're signing Wirtz, they're signing Frimpong. Some people said it was clickbait. Well, they've signed Frimpong and they're about to sign Wirtz, so it wasn't clickbait really, was it? Liverpool have looked at this table, and what they have done is they have seen that there's a huge gap and they've doubled down. FSG have decided this is the summer that we capitalise on Man City. We capitalise on Arsenal because, look, Man City are going to spend. Whatever happens with the 115, would be lovely to know, wouldn't it? They're still going to spend this summer. Arsenal, I think there's no choice for Arsenal anymore. You either fire Arteta and just try somebody else, because winning one FA Cup, the amount of time he's been there, is a failure in my opinion. Yes, he's stabilised them as the second best, but Arsenal, if they don't invest massive this summer, Liverpool are going to run away with it next year. I genuinely see Liverpool signing Kirkesh, which it looks like they're going to. Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz. These are three amazing footballers that elevate that club. Florian Wirtz is a world-class player that Liverpool are probably going to break their transfer record to sign. So for me, Liverpool are going to be the team to beat next season. I think they could be building an absolutely formidable side. I think Liverpool will beat Palace. Ipswich versus West Ham. West Ham are also woeful. Graham Potter, will he even be in a job next season? West Ham fans, if you're watching this, let me know your thoughts on Potter in the comments down below, because I think West Ham are also in trouble. I think Ipswich are going to win that. Tottenham, Brighton, how can Spurs, how can they actually be ready for this game? Like, players have clearly been on the booze. I think it's, for Tottenham, like, does it even matter? If we bring up that table again, I can't believe we're even saying this. Spurs are 17th, but like, if you're a Tottenham fan, surely you don't care. Surely there is absolutely no reason to care about this game, because you can't go from absolute cloud nine, winning the Europa League, winning that first trophy in 17 years, to then getting upset about a 22nd league loss of the season. Like, it is what it is, which is the worst and the best phrase in the world, because they are 17th. They are the worst team of everybody else that hasn't been relegated, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, the league table suggests it. But I don't see Spurs beating Brighton on the final day. I think Brighton are going to win because Tottenham are going to literally be so hungover. So, the Champions League race. Man City go to Fulham. Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea, ridiculously big game. Aston Villa go to Manchester United, and Newcastle host Everton. I'm going to go through this in order of the least contentious, with the least amount of jeopardy, in my opinion. So, with that being said, we begin. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for you. Newcastle versus Everton. Newcastle fans at St James's Park apparently will be given 2 free drinks before kickoff. They were given 1 before kickoff against Chelsea. That worked for an early kickoff. They're going to be given 2 here, pre-kickoff, for free at St James's Park versus Everton. Newcastle are going to beat Everton. Everton, they cannot change their final position. You can see the numbers here. They got 45 points. They can't catch Palace, and they are already finishing ahead of Wolves. So Newcastle, I think, are going to win. Even without Alexander Isak, I think Newcastle have got it done. Man United, Aston Villa is the next one that I just don't see how Manchester United can recover. I genuinely think we are talking about an unprecedented fall for a big club. And when I said the other day that Manchester United are finished, I genuinely mean it. I think it was win that game, get to the Champions League, which could have, like, at least then being Manchester United would have still meant something because they're in the Champions League. But now, like, they're having a flipping barbecue to end this. Like, it's actually embarrassing. Genuinely embarrassing. So I think Aston Villa are going to go and compile even more misery on Man United. Will we not even see Old Trafford full for this game? I wouldn't be surprised if people didn't show up, you know. Aston Villa, I think, are going to win 3 or 4-0. I don't see United getting anything from this. I'd like to think that they might be like, okay, we got to give this a go. We've got to try and at least end the season with some kind of positivity. Not that it would make too much difference. Fulham versus Manchester City. I feel as though this is going to be really difficult for City. But at the same time, looking at their form, they've done what they always do. Man City have just been finding the way. 2-0 at Everton, that was a good result. Beating Aston Villa, that was huge. That was a 6-pointer when you look at it now. Beating Wolves at home 1-0. Wolves at the time had won, 6 in a row? The draw at Southampton was bad, yes, but then they beat Bournemouth very convincingly. Omar Marmoush made a video in the early days of More GBFC saying just how important of a signing he was. And I can see Man City winning, which means I think City are going to win, Villa and Newcastle, which means Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea is a shootout. Nottingham Forest, even if they win, if all of the other teams competing for it win, Forest cannot get into the Champions League. They can, however, go ahead of Chelsea, finish 6th in the table, and get Europa League, which means that if Chelsea then finish 7th and lose to Betis on Wednesday, Chelsea are back in the Conference League again, which if you watch my match preview for the Forest-Chelsea game on GBFC, I literally don't think my brain can handle that. I don't think I could get myself able and willing to watch that competition again. And look, I want to make sure this is clear. Finishing in the Conference League is great if you're not used to winning Champions Leagues. Because it's European away days, you get to travel, you get to go to Kazakhstan, Sweden, all the places that, to be fair, so many of the away games in the Champions League and even Europa at times, right? Some of the cities, they're just boring. Like, so many major European cities, you overpay for everything. Yeah, okay, big teams, whatnot. Like, yes, it's a more valuable trophy. But there is value in the Conference League, I think. But as a Chelsea fan, it's so difficult for me to get excited for that competition. So I'm praying that Chelsea beat Forest. I think we will. I can't really say that with any real confidence. But we've also got the Championship playoff final today. Sheffield United versus Sunderland. Little prediction here. If Sheffield United win, I think they'll go down with less points than Southampton have got this season. If Sunderland win, then I actually think they'd do okay. I think the Stadium of Light would be a really difficult place for teams to go. So I think Sunderland would actually do okay and stay up. So I'm hoping that Sunderland come up. Because for me, Sheffield United getting promoted feels pointless. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Just a little video today. Obviously, I've not been uploading as frequently on More GBFC. I've been super busy with the George Benson football channel. And I just want to say, over the course of the summer, when the season is finished this weekend, we're going to be going into transfer videos. We're going to be making videos about individual players, doing some more like documentary style videos. But let me know specifically if there is anything football related that you want to see here that you think I'd be good at, that you'd actually tune in for. Do let me know. We're in America for the Club World Cup. Going to be covering that tournament massively. Going to be going to all the Chelsea games and then hopefully getting to some other ones as well. And you guys know from the Thailand vlogs that we do love a good vlog here on this channel. So plenty of content coming your way. We've nearly hit 7,500 subscribers. So we're on the road to 10K. Make sure you do subscribe. Thanks for all the support. And I will see you after the games tomorrow.